Hello everybody, I'm Christopher from GIS China, Germany, and today here with the UMI Zero, the very hyped wannabe high-end phone made by UMI. They intended it to be kind of a complete restart for the company with a whole new approach to build quality and making phones. And well, that's why the UMI Zero went really popular. And well, we've tested this phone during the past few days and had a closer look at it. And here in this review I will tell you all you need to know about it. One thing in advance, the UMI Zero isn't out for sale right now, it's still pre-order. So what we have here actually is a pre-production sample, which means that it might have a few bugs that will be fixed in the final version. And of course the software isn't quite ready yet. Just so you know what to expect and what to think about the things you will learn about the UMI Zero here. As always, we are giving the packaging of the UMI Zero a quick shot, and here it is completely in black, and again a whole new approach as well as the phone. It's not the small, simple, well, maybe even ugly packaging we know from most budget phones from China. It's a beautiful large black box, very simple but very elegant, with the Zero logo on top, the UMI logo on the sides, and on the rear we have a little sticker with some basic information about the UMI Zero phone. I've put most of the accessories of the phone outside already, so that's why the box is opening up quite slowly. And here you see the accessories that you get with the phone. Have some here inside of there. We have a little SIM tray ejection tool, which is stored right here. Then we have two little boxes. One of them contains a wall charger, which is actually a fast charging in-part charger, and a micro USB cable. And we also have a bumper, which is Z-shaped and well, looking quite nice, but it feels rather cheap because it's not metal actually. It's made from plastic. I don't really like that and I don't use it. I think it looks a little bit ugly when it's placed on the phone. Other accessories we have is a screen protector and a user manual within this envelope below. I don't show you that right now. Let's have a quick look at the charger and the USB cable. This is how it looks. It's pretty small for a fast charger. Technology here is coming from Texas Instruments, by the way, and it's charging the phone with 2.4 amperes, so that's pretty much of a lot. And as you can see, the USB cable is a special one. It has a few more pins than we are used to for the fast charging to work, and it actually has a metal body here and on the other end as well. And this is done for cooling purposes, because I don't recommend you to touch this part of the cable when charging the phone. It gets really hot, and especially when charging the phone with this one while playing a game. This one can get up to 108 degrees Celsius hot. This is insane, don't touch it, it is kind of dangerous. The cable is tough, it doesn't do anything to it. But you really shouldn't touch that because, well, you don't want to get burned. Okay, so that's about the packaging, what you get with the phone, and let's move forward to the design. Now, UMI was known for high-end, high-quality phones. Till now. The UMI Zero has an impressively high build quality, let me tell you that. I'm really surprised. Chinese companies often promise a lot of things and then don't deliver, but in terms of build quality, UMI really did deliver, I think. The whole phone is made from metal, including the chassis and the whole frame, the whole body of the phone, and the front and the rear is covered by Gorilla Glass free, so it's actually really tough and scratch proof, and I can certify that, even though I slipped the phone around on the table quite a numerous times. I still don't have any scratches on the back panel. So let's have a closer look at the design. As you can see, this phone is pretty lengthy. I was surprised by that. They could have made it a little smaller, to be honest with you. Cut down a little here, cut down a little here, and you would have a very portable phone. But this one is really, really long, much longer than any 5-inch phone I've used ever before. So, well, if you liked it or not, probably a thing of taste. Those with small pockets might have trouble with that. So what do we find on the front? We have a phone call speaker, of course, the front camera, and some sensors which aren't visible here. And as you can see, the glass of the front has a little bulge towards the edges, and well, it feels kind of nice to swipe the finger over here. I really like that design element. And the metal starts right next to the glass. And here below the screen you see nothing, but actually when you turn the phone on you will see 3 soft touch buttons, one for menu, one for home, one for back. But unfortunately I don't know if this is because it's a pre-production sample or if this will be with the final product as well. But only the menu key and the back key is back illuminated and the home key isn't. This looks kind of weird because the light from the back and menu key is shining a little towards the home key, but they are much brighter than the home key itself, so it doesn't look quite nice. Looks a little cheap. I hope they will fix that and build in a third LED inside the home button with the final production unit. Let's have a look at the sides, and here you see again the metal frame of the phone. It feels really nice, really like a high-end device. I really like that, and you see that it's there are some plastic lines inside of there which actually help the Wi-Fi signals or 3G signals to come through there, so the reception quality still is good despite the metal case that's inside of there. Then we also have 2 buttons, one volume rocker, also made from metal, and one on-off switch. They're pretty easy to press, have very nice pressure points, I like them. And on the lower side we find a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is quite unusual. But to be honest with you, I like this position pretty much because the cable doesn't go around your phone in this case. We also find the voice microphone here. Then on the right side we find nothing except a SIM tray, and this one is pretty interesting because it can house either 2 micro SIM cards or 1 micro SIM card and 1 micro SD card. So one slot can only take either 1 SD card or 1 SIM card. So you have to decide if you want to extend your internal storage, which is 16 GB with this one, or if you want to use 2 SIM cards. So that's a little weird maybe, but not a bad approach, I think, as it's saving a lot of space for the manufacturer. On the top we find the micro USB port, which does support OTG, of course, as well. Then the rear, you can see the glass panel mounted on here with the UMI logo and the Zero imprint, and of course the camera of the phone and a dual LED flash, which is actually not a dual tone LED flash, but just a dual LED flash with 2 LEDs of the same kind. So regarding the build quality, this is a really high quality phone. There's no squeaking noises or anything, nothing is moving, there are no gaps or anything. It's just the build quality you want to have. And to be honest with you, for just 217 euros, that's what the phone is priced at right now. The build quality really is impressive. But unfortunately the insides are not as impressive as the build quality, but more about that later on. One of the unique features of the UMI Zero is the fact that this phone is using an LED panel, a Super AMOLED panel, to be honest. And this has never been used in a Chinese phone before, as far as I know, except for one Xiaomi phone, but never in a sub 300 euro phone, as far as I know. A lot of manufacturers claim to build in OLED panels before, but they never did. And UMI actually did it, and I'm really thankful for that, because the OLED experience is simply insane. So every single pixel and subpixel on the screen basically is a light emitting device, an LED. And this means that black really is black with those screens, because it doesn't need any back illumination. The pixels are lighting up themselves. So if you want to show black, you simply turn off the screen at this part of the picture. You can see the amazing contrast in the result of that, the amazing colors of the screen. And let me just open up a picture to show you how amazing black looks at the screen. Let me show you this one. And now look at this. It's simply amazing. And actually, when you are in a dark room or at night, you can't see any difference between the phone's frame and the screen. You won't see where the screen stops and where the frame starts. That's really amazing. I like that. And just look at the viewing angles. Those are pretty perfect as well. That just is a little bluish tint, but that's normal for OLED panels. But I am really in love with the screen. I think you noticed that. And let's have a closer look at it. It's perfectly sharp, a lot of details. But you can't see any pixels at all, at least with the naked eye you can't see them. And what I also like about the screen is the digitizer, which is working surprisingly well. I've had a few UMI phones before, but none of them had such a good digitizer. This one is really sensitive. You don't need to put much pressure on it, but it still is very precise, has almost no input lag, as you can see. And well, it doesn't fail a single time. It's really amazing. I like that. And the finger is sliding on it amazingly well. Well, it's really fun using the screen for games and so on. And I think you will also have a lot of fun with this one. So that's for the screen. Now UMI did put a lot of work into designing the packaging of the phone's design, and well, making sure a great display is inside of there. But unfortunately, they left out the operating system completely, at least here in the pre-production unit. This is running Android 4.4.2 KitKat. Let me show you that. Here you can see it. And well, it's a stock Android basically. The only significant change is probably the UMI button in the launcher, but everything else is pure stock Android. There are no changes, and well, it seems like the love for technology has left them a while designing this firmware. I would have liked to see some customized Android ROM, and even more I would have liked to see some more features, because this one doesn't even support off-screen gestures, at least not in pre-production version. I hope it will be implemented in the final firmware version, but so far it just isn't present. I can show this here. If I double tap, nothing happens. I don't really like that, and that really is a pity for a phone that's costing 217 euros. Well, also the operating system is a little buggy. It's crashing from time to time. It has some performance issues in games. They are lagging a bit. They're sometimes running slower than with a MT6592 phone, and this one is a MT6592T phone, which means it is clocked at 2 GHz instead of the 1.7 GHz we know from those other MT6592 phones. You would expect a higher performance, and it basically does provide a higher performance. The whole system UI is working extremely smooth, almost like on a Snapdragon processor, also by surfing the web and so on. But during 3D games, you definitely notice a lack of optimization, because even Dead Trigger 2 is lagging, and this one is usually running smooth on MT6592 phones. So that's a little bit sad, but I guess it will be fixed. Another issue I've discovered is that the GSM and 3G reception doesn't always work. It for some reason loses the IMEI numbers quite some times during the review, and it still does. I don't know what's the cause of that, but sometimes I turn the phone on and it doesn't find any network, and if I check the IMEI numbers, they are empty and I have to retype them again. through the engineer mode or through MTK Droid tools. So that's a pity and a really annoying bug, but I guess it will be fixed as well for the final production unit. So you simply can ignore that if you like. So that's for the operating system, and now we will do a little performance demo. I won't do any benchmarks right now as they are not telling you anything about the final product yet. And well, you probably know how the NTX 592 and TX 592T performs in the usual benchmarks. Let's talk about multimedia. And well, I don't need to tell you that watching movies on a OLED panel is simply amazing, and of course with the UMI Zero it's amazing as well. The contrast, the colors, it's really working amazingly well and very fluent. There's no doubt about that. Let's come to audio quality, and well, I have a little mixed feelings about it here. Timo said in the German review that he really liked the audio quality of the internal speaker, but I unfortunately somehow have to disagree with him. He said it has a lot of basses, but I don't think so. I think it has very little basses and doesn't even come close to a Oppo Find 7 or a Vivo X Shot or any of those very good sounding phones. So, well, it's kind of the standard internal media speaker that we find in Chinese phones. It's not a worse one, but it's also not the best one. It's okay for listening to music from time to time, but nothing for serious hi-fi enjoyment. And while the same applies to the 3.5mm headphone jack, the audio signal put out for that is It is okay, it's fairly loud, but not overly powerful, but balanced enough for serious music enjoyment. So if you have good headphones, you will definitely have fun using the phone, but it's nothing compared to the experience you get with a hi-fi phone like Vivo phones, a Oppo Find 7 or the Meizu MX4. So this definitely is not a hi-fi phone, but it's okay for the average user. Let me just give you a little audio demo of the internal media speaker now for you to build your own opinion. Reception quality, another important topic, and the UMI Zero doesn't perform extremely bad here, but it's not quite as good as you would expect from some high-end phone that the UMI Zero obviously wants to be. And well, let's start as usual with 2G and 3G reception quality. And here I have to say that there's no problem with GPS reception, GSM reception, so phone calls and everything are perfectly fine, but the phone does have some trouble with 3G reception, as the signal strength of this one isn't quite as high as high-end phones offer it. Just compared with the Meizu MX4, this one had a perfect HSPA reception quality here inside this room, and this one doesn't have HSPA. Let me disable Wi-Fi to preview that. And as you can see, it stays at GPRS, no HSPA. That's a pity, and well, you definitely notice that in areas where the mobile internet reception quality isn't that good, because you simply won't have any reception at all with the UMI Zero in this case. And that's really sad and can be a trouble depending on where you live, or can be an issue. And well, you should definitely think about that before purchasing the UMI Zero. The reason for this probably is the metal housing. This always means that the signal strength is reduced. Of course, the Meizu MX4 also has a metal housing, but I guess Meizu has some more experience with this metal stuff than UMI, and this is why the UMI Zero sucks in terms of 3G reception quality. Next is Wi-Fi reception quality, and here you see as well that this one isn't quite as good. The Wi-Fi router is right next to me in the other room, so there's just one wall in between. And most phones have full Wi-Fi reception quality here, and this one only has 2 bars right now. And that's a pity again, probably because I have my hand on here. Let's check on that. Nope, nothing has changed. Now it has changed a little, but still not full reception quality, which is still a little bit worse than with other phones. And also the fact that you can get a drop in Wi-Fi reception quality just by putting your hands on top of there means that they have done a little mistake while designing the antenna or while placing the antenna. That's a little sad. Regarding GPS, of course, the MT592T is still one of those old MediaTek chipsets that aren't that good in terms of GPS, because they only can do GPS and HGPS, no GLONASS or any other satellite technology. But it works surprisingly well, considering that this is one of the older MediaTek chipsets. It gets a fix within a few seconds outside. It's not a problem with accuracies between 3 to 6 meters, depending on the weather conditions and where you are. So that's not bad at all. GPS is working perfectly fine. There are only some issues with specific apps, but that's something we are used to from those MediaTek SoCs. The camera of the UMI Zero is a 13 megapixel Sony sensor on the rear and a 8 megapixel wide angle sensor on the front. And the rear sensor is kind of strange. The recent firmware update UMI provided for the pre-production units has somehow changed the specs magically of the camera. It suddenly has 20 megapixel and an aperture of f1.8. And well, that's not true, obviously. The real aperture is f2.4 or 2.2. I'm not exactly sure of that. Different people tell me different things. I haven't checked it before the firmware update, to be honest. And of course, the real resolution is 30 megapixels. The 20 megapixels are just interpolated. So just so you know what's the truth about this one. So what about the quality? I have to say that the camera does take quite nice images. They have a good quality, quite good depth of field, and really good colors. There's nothing to complain about that. But what I don't like is the noise production of it. Even if under daylight you have quite a lot of noise inside your images, which isn't that nice. And well, if you zoom in, it definitely looks kinda shitty because of that. And it just gets worse if you are taking pictures in room light or at night. So it definitely is not the noise-free camera you would want to have in your smartphone if you want to take serious pictures. Yet it is still a good camera, but for the price I would have wanted something better inside of there. Regarding the LED flash, this one is surprisingly bright, but can't come close to any other high-end phones, like the Meizu MX4 for example. It can light up a mid-sized room, but it's not overly bright. It's just so you can see a little bit inside the room, but nothing for serious pictures. Close-ups, however, with the LED flash work perfectly fine, and even get pretty amazing color reproduction, even though this is just a single tone LED flash and not a dual tone LED flash. This is something that did surprise me a little. Regarding video recordings, they can be done with a maximum of 1080p, and the quality of videos is so-so. It's not overly good, but it's acceptable. And well, the audio quality is a little silent, but also acceptable. The front camera does surprisingly sharp pictures. It's good for selfies and everything, and of course also for video chat. This is nothing you would complain about usually. The battery inside the UMI Zero is non-replaceable, which is really sad, and UMI claims it to be a 2650 milliamps battery. I'm not exactly sure about that, because the battery isn't quite good, considering that we have an OLED panel here and such a huge battery. So I doubt about the capacity. The battery life is still enough to get over the day with it, no problem, but it's getting empty quite fast. As you can see, we are running here on battery for 59 minutes and 2 seconds now, and the screen wasn't on all the time, but still we already have 81% left, which 80% left, which isn't that much. So we already have 20% used. That's quite a lot, and makes me think that the battery capacity is somewhere around 2200 or 2400 milliamps, but for sure not 2650 milliamps. I will tear the phone apart if UMI sends me a tutorial to do so, and we'll check on that to be sure about it. But all in all, it's nothing really disturbing, because the fast charging technologies from Texas Instruments that comes to use inside the UMI Zero is making up for that. It's charging really fast, around 1% per minute or something, so within 1 hour you will have the phone almost fully charged if you start charging at 20% and are good to go again. That's really nice. And one important thing about it is that you also can use fast charging while using the phone. That's different from, for example, the Oppo Find 7. But as I mentioned in the beginning, the plug of the USB cable you have to use for charging the phone with fast charging gets really hot while doing so, and you really shouldn't touch that. It doesn't do any harm to the cable, even though it gets 108 degrees Celsius. But well, if you touch it, it will hurt seriously, so please don't touch that if you use the phone while doing fast charging. So all in all, the battery life is quite okay, but it's not anything near high end. And well, the fast charging technology is what makes up for that and makes it acceptable again. So what's my take on the UMI Zero? Well, first of all, I'm very impressed by what UMI has done in terms of design, in terms of the packaging, in terms of the whole approach of the phone. It simply looks stunning, it feels like a high-end phone, and well, I really like the design. The only thing I dislike a bit is that it's so lengthy. But they somehow stopped with bringing up inventions inside their own company when it comes to the insides of the phone. For sure, the OLED panel has an amazing quality and is really a nice feature that most other phones can't deliver, especially not at this price level. But the SoC is kinda old, even though it's the MT659 It's slowly getting outdated. New games with high quality graphics aren't running quite well on it. Modern Combat 5 is pretty much unplayable on highest settings, and I would have liked if they would have built in a 64-bit MediaTek SoC or the MT659 inside this phone. This would have been the better choice. Also, what I dislike about such a wannabe high-end phone is the fact that it only has 2 GB of RAM. 3 GB would have been much better inside of this, and also the camera could have been better. And another thing I really dislike about it is the fact that the 3G reception quality sucks a bit, and also the Wi-Fi reception quality is kind of limited compared to other phones, even though that's not a direct issue. Combined with the battery life, that's not as good as you would expect it to be. This certainly is an overpriced phone for 270 euros or 270 bucks. I don't know the US dollar price at the moment. It's somewhere in this area. However, if the phone would be priced at 240 bucks or 170 euros or something, I would buy it, no question. But for 213 euros, it's a little too expensive considering the flaws this phone has. For sure, the final version of this phone will offer official custom ROMs that you can install with one click, like MIUI and so on and so on. But I think that's not worth the higher price tag. At least that's my opinion. Of course, you have to decide about that. So that's it from my side about the UMI Zero. Thanks to Efox Shop for sending the phone to us before it's available regularly. And thanks to you for watching the video. I hope it was helpful for you. And if you like what we are doing at GIS China, make sure to follow us here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Google+. Thanks for watching. Over and out.